Hi to everyone. In this video, we are going to discuss about another decision making statement, else if ladder. Okay. So at first we will discuss about as what is mean by else if ladder. Actually, if you are going to check for multiple conditions, by that time we can make use of the else if ladder. Ladder, the term itself reveals, right? Just for an example, I am saying if you are taking the ladder, at first you will step into the first step of the ladder, then you will step into the second step, then third, fourth, fifth, and so on. In the same way, if you are taking the else if ladder, first you will check for the first condition, next you will check for the second condition, third condition, fourth condition, and so on. So how you are going to check for the several conditions here means, first you will check for the first condition. If that condition is a true means, then you will not check for the rest of the conditions. If the first condition is failed, then you will check for the second condition. Then you will check, if the second condition is also failed, then you will check for the third condition. If the third condition is also failed, then you will check for the another conditions. So in such a way, you can have n number of conditions. Even if all the conditions are failed, you can have the default statement. So we can conclude else if ladder is a decision making statements in which you are having the multiple path will be there. Multiple path here refers to multiple conditions. If the particular condition is satisfied, then the statements under that condition, under that block will be executed. If that condition fail, then it will go for the next one condition. If that condition is also fail, then you will go for the another conditions. So in order to check for the multiple conditions, you can make use of the else if ladder. In other words, we can say else if ladder is a multi-path decision statement in which you are going to check the conditions in the else part. If you are taking the if else statement, in the if else statement, if that condition is true, then the true block will be executed. If that condition is failed, then automatically your program control will comes to the else part only. But there is no provisions to check for another conditions in the else part. In case if you wish to check for another conditions, you have to embed one if statement within the else block. But here, if you are using the else if ladder, you can check for the conditions even in the else part by using the if statement. So once again I am saying else if ladder is a multi-path decision statement in which you are going to check for several conditions. If one condition failed, then you will check for the another condition. If that condition is also failed, then you will check for the another conditions. In such a way, we can check for the n number of conditions. Even if all the conditions are failed, then the default section will be executed. Let's see the operations of the else if ladder by means of the flowchart here. Just consider here. Here we have given the condition 1. If the condition 1 is a true means, then the statement 1 will be executed. If the condition 1 is failed means, then it comes to the condition 2. If the condition 2 is true means, then the statement 2 will be executed. If this condition failed means, then it goes for the condition 3. If the condition 3 is true, then it goes for the statement 3. If it is failed, it goes for the condition n. So here also it will check for the condition. If the condition is true, then the statement n will be executed. If this condition is also failed, then it executes the default statement. So this is the working principle of the else if ladder. Just I'm telling it once again. If the condition 1 is failed, then only it comes for the condition 2. If the condition 2 is failed, then it will check for the condition 3. Even if the condition 3 is failed, then it will check for the condition n. Even if the condition n is also failed, then it goes for the default statement. In case if the condition 1 is true, means then the rest of the conditions will not be executed. It will execute the statement 1 and it comes to the next statement as statement X. The rest of the statements which will not be executed when the condition 1 is true. And another one thing, if the condition 1 is failed, by that time it will check for the condition 2. If the condition 2 is true means, then the statement 2 alone will be executed. The rest of the statements will not be executed. This cases is applicable for all the conditions that you have defined within the else if ladder. Okay. So if all the conditions are failed, then it executes the default statement and comes to the next statement as statement X. So this is about the working principle of else if ladder. Now let's see the syntax for the else if ladder. This is a syntax for an else if ladder. First you are checking for the condition. So you are using if condition 1. So within the if statement, you are writing the statement 1 and then else if condition 2, statement 2 and else if condition 3, statement 3, else if condition n, statement n. It means you can have n number of conditions here. Even if the n number of conditions are failed, then you have to execute the default statement. For such a case, you can make use of the else. So else is nothing but the default section. Here you can give the default statement here. Here, if the condition 1 is true means, then the statement 1 will be executed. If the condition 1 is failed means, then it comes for the else if. Here it will check for another condition as condition 2. Whether the condition 2 is true or not, it will check. If it is true means, then it will execute the statement 2. After executing the statement 2, your program control will shift from this place to the statement X. In case if the condition 2 is failed means, then it will check for the condition 3. If the condition 3 is also failed means, it will check for the condition n. Even if the condition n is also failed means, then the default statement will be executed. So this is about the syntax of else if ladder. Now let's see an example. We are going to grade the marks for the students. How we are going to calculate the grade means, at first we have to calculate the average marks scored by the students. Based on some criteria, we are going to grade them. For example, if the marks is between 80 to 100 means, you can grade that student as H. It means honors. And if a particular student got an average marks in the range of 60 to 79 means, you can give the grade A. For 50 to 59, you can give grade B. 40 to 49, grade C. 0 to 39, are going to give the grade as F. So now we are going to implement this concept using the else if ladder. How we can implement it by using the else if ladder means, because here they have given the multiple conditions. A particular student can score the marks in between any one of these ranges. For example, a particular student, maybe Ramesh, may got an average marks of 85. So 85 which will falls in the range of 80 to 100. So at first you have to check for this condition. If this condition is failed, then you have to check for the second condition. If this condition is also failed, then you have to check for this condition. If this condition is also failed, then you have to check for this one. So, on considering these things, we can implement these operations effectively by using an else if ladder. Yes, come let's see the program for the for calculating the for now let's grade the marks scored by the students using the C programming language. See the demo. Yes, this is a program. First, what we are doing, at first we are implementing the comment section. This is a program to find the grade for the marks scored by the student. Then as usual, we have to include the header files, hash include stdio.h, hash include conio.h. Then include the void main, open curly braces. At first we have to get the marks so as to calculate the average. So here I'm just going to give 5 marks. That's why I have declared the variables for receiving the or else for storing the values for those 5 subjects. Okay. That's why here I have declared int m1, m2, m3, m4, m5. And here I am going to calculate the average by using the conditions that we have mentioned in our example. Since all the values in that example are the integer, I am declaring the variable average of the data type integer itself. Okay. Next, grade. Grade, in the example itself we have given, we are going to grade H, A, B, C and F. So it's a character. That's why I'm declaring one variable as grade of the data type char. Then we are clearing the screen. So that's why here we are using CLR ACM. And then we have to prompt the user. That's why I have typed here as printf, enter the marks for 5 subjects. In order to get the values from the user for those 5 subjects, I'm using the scanf statement. Since the data type for those 5 subjects is integer, here I'm using the type specifier as dim. So scanf %d, 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 %d. I'm using %d for 5 times. So the reason is I'm going to get the 5 values. So I have to specify the type specifier and conversion character for each variables. That's why here I have mentioned 5% d, and then ampersand m1 comma ampersand m2 comma ampersand m3, and then address of m4 and then address of m5. Then we have to calculate the average. The formula for calculating the average is sum of the marks scored by the students divided by number of subjects. Here the total number of subjects is 5. Then we have to calculate the total marks scored by the student. That's why here I have typed the formula as AVG equal to M1 plus M2 plus M3 plus M4 plus M5 whole divided by 5. So the result, the average of these 5 marks will get stored in AVG. And then I'm going to make use of the if statement. If AVG, that means average. What's the first conditions that we have mentioned in the example? There we have mentioned if the marks is between the range 80 to 100, it means we are going to grade them as H. So in such a cases, we have to check for both two conditions. One is whether the average is greater than or equal to 80 and average is less than or equal to 100. We have to satisfy both the conditions. That's why here I am using the logical operator and operator. In case if I wish to satisfy any one of the conditions means by that time I can make use of the OR operator here. But here in the question itself they have clearly mentioned as if the average falls between the range 80 to 100 means you have to grade them as H. That's why here I have to check for both the conditions. That's why here I am using the logical operator and. If I am using the logical operator and, if both the conditions are true, then only this block will be enabled. It means if both the conditions are satisfied, then only it will enter into this statement. It means your program control will be shifted from this line to this line only when this condition is satisfied. If this condition failed means then we have to check for the another option whether the average falls between the range 60 to 79. That's why here I am typing else if average greater than or equal to 60 and average less than or equal to 79. So if this condition is a true means then I have to give the grade A. That's why here I am assigning grade equal to A. Have you noticed one thing here? Here I have given H and here I have given A. But these characters are embedded within a single quote. The reason is character must always be enclosed within a single quote. Okay, that's why here I have embedded the characters within a single quote. And then in order to check for the another conditions, I am using another else if statement and I am checking the condition as if average greater than or equal to 50 and average less than or equal to 59, grade equal to B. And for checking the next condition, I have to make use of another one else if average greater than or equal to 40 and less than or equal to 49, grade equal to C. If all these conditions are failed, then you can say grade equal to F. It means failed. You just see here, when you are executing your program, at first it will calculate the average. When you are executing your program, at first it will prompt the user so as to enter for the marks. Then the user will enter the 5 marks. Then the average will be calculated. Based on that average value, it will check for the conditions. If the average value falls within this range, then this statement will be executed. If the first condition is failed, then it will check for the second condition. If the second condition is also failed, then it will check for the third condition. If the third condition is also failed, then it will check for the fourth condition. If this fourth condition is also failed, then the default statement will be executed. Okay, so after doing these things, I have to print a message to the user as what's the average mark scored by the student and the grade given for that student. So that's why here I am using printf. The average marks is percentage d slash n backslash n that I am using here to shift your cursor to the next line. Okay, and then I am printing the value average. It means first it will print the value, the average mark says. It will print the value of average. After printing the value of average, your cursor will be moved to the next line since I have used backslash n here. And next, in the next line, I am typing printf, the grade is. What's the data type for the grade? The data type for the grade is char. So the type specifier for grade is C. That's why here I am typing the grade is percentage C, comma grade. Then close the parenthesis, put semicolon. Then as usual, you can include the get ch. You can close the curly braces. Now let's compile our program. First compile your program. There is no error. You can press any key. Then you can run your program. Type the 5 marks. For example, I am typing 90, 95, 80 and then 60, again 60. So the average marks is 77 and the grade for this average mark is A.